Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm naming this House of Nerdy. Today I'll be talking about this crazy new Venom post-credit scene. I'll be giving my thoughts and opinions on the post-credit scene, and I'll be explaining how it connects to the wider MCU as a whole. So starting off, I want to explain the scene in some detail. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie or the post-credit scene and you don't want to be spoiled, I don't know why you clicked on this video, but here we go. So the scene starts with Eddie and Venom, and they're talking. And eventually, Eddie asks Venom if he's holding secrets away from him. And he says, yes, I have 80 billion Venom hive mind secrets that go across multiple universes, which is multiversal. So yeah, he's holding secrets back, of course. That's kind of the implication. And he says, if he gives you all of this information, your brain couldn't process it. And then Eddie says, well, no, I can take it, give it to me. And Venom shows him just a small little bit of it, and you see that the whole room changes, right? And you see that on the TV, it's J. Jonah Jameson talking, and Spider-Man comes on the screen. It's like the end of Far From Home, right? Or the beginning of No Way Home, whichever way you want to look at it. And Venom is basically now in the MCU, right? That's kind of the scene in its entirety. So first off, that's crazy. That's wild. You know what I mean? And Venom came up to the screen and said that guy, either he's implying that he knows of Spider-Man because of this hive mind multiversal symbiote thing, or because in the comics they have he has an obsession with Spider-Man, and they might just be trying to imply that for future storytelling purposes. I don't know. Either way, that's amazing. And I think in general, having Venom in the MCU is just amazing, and I think it's perfection. I think Tom Hardy's Venom is perfect for the MCU. I think he fits right in, and I think that he could be the MCU Venom for a while, right? Until they want to actually do their Venom, if they want to do that. Because with this post-credit scene, it's very possible that Sony stuff could be in the MCU, it's just in its own little thing, right? Because in Loki, we see that universes are crossing into each other, right? So the Sony universe can technically cross in with our basically 616 Marvel universe, the MCU that we know and love, and they could these characters could be there, Morbius could be in the MCU. And you remember Tyrese was saying that it's all connected, right? And maybe he wasn't lying. Maybe we see these characters, these Sony characters in the MCU, and they're interacting with MCU characters. I don't know. Maybe Marvel and Sony worked that out. Maybe Kevin Feige backed off on the idea of not having Sony in there. He did in his most recent comments, downplay leave the door open for a Sony Marvel cross up connection with Venom and Spider-Man, and I think that's what they're doing right now. And I'm very excited to see Venom in the MCU. I hope he's in the MCU for a while. I don't think he'll be in the MCU forever. I do think they'll separate it. I don't know if they'll be together forever, but I definitely think for at least a couple years we're gonna see Venom and Spider-Man doing some things in the MCU, and I do think that it's gonna lead to key part of the multiverse saga going forward in this phase of the MCU. But I do think it's really interesting that the symbiotes have a hive mind over multiverses, right? So there's a world where a Venom, a different universe, a variant Venom, knows of Spider-Man already and has already fought with him and already has that relationship. So Venom technically already has that relationship. Spider-Man doesn't know who he is. Our Spider-Man may not know who he is, but Venom does have could have at least a mental relationship with it. He knows those feelings and knows of Spider-Man, right? Maybe he knows one of the Spider-Man that might be in No Way Home, that's rumored, Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire. We don't know. I think that would be very cool, and I think that would give it more juice when we see Venom and Spider-Man connect, right? If Venom already knows of Spider-Man. Maybe Spider-Man's a little confused, but Spider-Man's always confused. We don't worry about him. But if Venom knows of Spider-Man, that can make that, when they first meet up, very special and very cool. And I'm really interested to see if we're going to see a Venom 3 or a Spider-Man 4 in the MCU. Those aren't confirmed or even talked about, right? We thought Spider-Man was going to go back to Sony in a little bit, or kind of go back and forth, right? But maybe Venom 3 is in the MCU, or maybe there's a Spider-Man 4. We're going to get another trilogy with Spider-Man. I don't know. It just, the implications of this post-credit scene are crazy, and I think it will be explained in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and maybe even Morbius, in these other movies that are connected and around it, right? Around the multiverse and around Venom and around Spider-Man. And in the end, I'm just really excited to see Venom in the MCU, and I'm really excited to see what they do with him. I'm really excited to see what they do with Spider-Man continuing in the MCU, and I'm really excited to see what they do with No Way Home and how much Venom is in that movie. I'm thinking post-credit scene, right? I'm thinking post-credit scene, but he could be in the movie. He could be a Sinister Six member. That'd be crazy. I don't know how people would feel about that. That may feel rushed and just forced in there, but I don't know. We'll see. And for my final point, there's a lot of people saying that Doctor Strange spell causes this Venom like come into the MCU, right? And if you look at the timeline, right, looks at the TV and it's like the beginning of No Way Home or the end of Far From Home, however you want to look at it. And that means it can't be the Doctor Strange spell because it hasn't happened yet. Unless they're doing some weird time bending stuff. I don't know why they would make it even more confusing. But yeah, I think it's just more a part of Loki and the wider like MCU multiverse breaking. And I think that like this may be a part of why the Doctor Strange spell goes wrong in like a reverse flip type of way. You know what I mean? Like I think that would be cool. That's my opinion on it. If you agree or disagree, leave your opinions down below. Peace out.